Most people live their entire lives trapped in one exhausting cycle, trying to impress others, trying to prove their worth, and constantly chasing approval that never seems to last. This is the prison of external validation. But what if I told you that the real power, the real transformation, begins when you shift your attention away from them and back to yourself? In this journey, you will learn how focusing on yourself can create changes so powerful, so undeniable, that the very people who once doubted you will be left in shock. There is a force that lives inside every single one of us, a force that has the potential to alter the trajectory of our lives completely. But for most people, that force remains untapped, dormant, hidden beneath layers of noise, distraction, and endless comparison to the outside world. We have been conditioned to believe that success, happiness, and fulfillment come from something out there. Other people's opinions, recognition, achievements that can be measured, wealth that can be displayed. Yet, the truth is far more profound. The moment you take your attention away from the external world and direct it inward, you step into the only place where real transformation is possible. This is the power of inner attention. Think about it. Most of the time, we are not even aware of where our attention is. Our thoughts wander through a maze of past memories, worries about the future, fears of rejection, or fantasies of approval. Every one of those thoughts consumes energy. Energy that could have been invested in creating something new. Energy that could have been focused on growth, healing, or becoming. And yet, because the mind is addicted to the external world, we leak that energy outward, as if begging others to give us back the sense of worth we should have cultivated within ourselves. This is why so many people feel drained, uninspired, or unfulfilled. Their attention is scattered everywhere, but never rooted where it truly matters, inside. When you begin to master the art of inner attention, you start noticing the invisible patterns that once ruled your life without question. You notice how a single thought can spiral into anxiety. You notice how one small memory can trigger emotions that hold you hostage. You notice how deeply your body has been programmed to respond to the past instead of opening itself to the future. That noticing is the beginning of power, because awareness is the first step to liberation. You cannot change what you cannot see, but once you see it, you are no longer its prisoner. Directing attention inward means making a deliberate choice to observe the workings of your own mind and emotions without being consumed by them. It means stepping into the role of a witness, a conscious observer of your inner landscape. And from that place of observation, something extraordinary happens. You begin to realize that you are not your thoughts. You are not your emotions. You are not your past experiences. You are the awareness that notices them. That shift in perspective is the foundation of all transformation, because the moment you stop identifying with your limitations, you begin to see the limitless. The outer world is nothing more than a reflection of the inner world. If your attention is dominated by fear, you will create circumstances that match that fear. If your mind is obsessed with lack, you will notice every form of lack around you. If your emotions are rooted in insecurity, you will magnetize people and situations that confirm your insecurity. But when you take control of your inner attention and begin to cultivate new states of being, gratitude, focus, self-belief, clarity, your outer world gradually reorganizes itself to match those inner states. Life cannot remain the same when your inner world begins to change. Inner attention is like sunlight. Wherever you direct it, things begin to grow. Direct it toward resentment, and resentment multiplies. Direct it toward creativity, gratitude, or healing, and those qualities expand. Most people scatter their inner light across the field of distractions. What others think, what they said, what didn't work out, what might go wrong. No wonder they feel depleted. But the moment you reclaim that light, the moment you choose to withdraw it from the noise and focus it inward, you create a magnetic force that not only transforms you but begins to reshape how the world responds to you. When you stop living as a slave to the external and begin living as a creator from within, you notice how differently you carry yourself. Your decisions become aligned. Your actions become deliberate. Your emotions are no longer random reactions, but conscious choices. You begin to emit a frequency of clarity and strength that others can feel, even if they cannot explain it. People will notice the difference in your presence before they ever see it in your results. That is the invisible shock you give to the world. The realization that you are no longer controlled by it. But this shift requires discipline. It is not about forcing change through willpower alone. It is about training yourself to direct your attention where it serves you, not where it drains you. Every time you catch your mind wandering into fear, judgment, or comparison, and you bring it back to a state of focus, you strengthen that inner muscle. Every time you refuse to be pulled into external drama and instead choose stillness, you reclaim energy. Every time you align your thoughts with the future you want, rather than the past you regret, you become the architect of that future. This is the practice of inner attention, and it is a practice that compounds with time. What makes this so powerful is that no one else can control it but you. The outside world can distract you, tempt you, even try to manipulate you, but the choice of where to place your attention is always yours. And in that choice lies the power to either remain the same or to completely reinvent yourself. We live in a world designed to scatter our minds. Every sound, every notification, every advertisement is a pull on our attention, and slowly, without even noticing, we become addicted to distraction. The tragedy is that most people think they are simply keeping up with the world, when in truth, they are being carried away from themselves. Distraction has become the invisible chain that keeps countless people from ever realizing their true potential. Because the more fragmented your attention is, the less power you have to create anything meaningful. Consider how often you reach for your phone without even thinking. How many times you check what others are doing before you check what you are becoming. The constant scroll, the endless comparisons, the habit of looking outward for answers. These patterns train your brain to remain reactive. When you live in reaction, you are never in creation. Instead of directing life from within, you are constantly responding to impulses from without. And every time you do, you give away a little more of your energy. The human mind, when scattered, is weak. It gets tossed between worries of the past and fears of the future, never grounded in the present moment where all power resides. That is what distraction does. It keeps you busy but not effective, occupied but not fulfilled, moving but not progressing. And because the majority of people around you are also living this way, it feels normal. But just because something is common does not mean it is natural. Our nature is focus, clarity, presence. The habit of distraction is not who we are. It is simply who we have practiced being. To break the habit of distraction, we must first recognize it for what it is, an addiction. Each time you get pulled into someone else's drama, each time you scroll endlessly, each time you allow external noise to dictate your mood, your brain receives a small hit of stimulation. It feels satisfying in the moment, but it robs you of long-term fulfillment. And the more you repeat it, the more the brain wires itself to crave it. The cycle continues until you forget what it feels like to be truly present, to direct your own energy, to be in command of your inner world. But there is another way. Imagine for a moment withdrawing your attention from the external chaos and turning it toward yourself. Imagine becoming deeply aware of how you think, how you feel, how you choose to act. Imagine noticing the patterns of distraction, not with judgment, but with clarity. In that moment, you begin to separate from the automatic program that has been running your life. You realize that you are not obligated to respond to every impulse, that you are not a prisoner of endless stimulation, that your mind can be trained to focus as deliberately as a beam of light. The brain has been designed to change. What you practice, you become. If you practice distraction, you live distracted. But if you practice focus, awareness, and intentionality, your brain rewires itself to reflect that new identity. The habit of distraction can be broken not by willpower alone, but by replacing it with the habit of presence. Presence is the antidote to distraction. When you choose to anchor yourself in the present moment, when you breathe deeply and feel yourself existing fully here and now, you dissolve the grip of external chaos. You reclaim energy that was once wasted on meaningless noise and channel it toward growth, creation, and transformation. Think about how much energy is lost to distraction in a single day. A thought about what someone else thinks of you, an argument replayed in your head, hours consumed by content that adds nothing to your life. Every one of those moments drains the very energy you need to create the life you desire. And when that energy is drained, life feels heavy. You wonder why progress is slow, why clarity is missing, why fulfillment feels out of reach. The answer is simple: your energy is scattered. But when you take that same energy and begin to focus it inward, when you protect it from distraction and cultivate it with intention, you unlock power that has been dormant within you all along. Breaking the habit of distraction does not mean avoiding the world or rejecting technology. It means mastering yourself in the midst of it. It means learning how to pause before reacting, how to breathe before speaking, how to observe before deciding. It means refusing to let external noise dictate your internal state. You begin to rise above the chaos, not by controlling the world, but by controlling your focus. And here is where the shock to others comes in. Most people are so used to living in distraction that when they meet someone grounded, focused, and present, they feel the difference immediately. Your clarity becomes magnetic. Your calmness becomes powerful. Your results begin to accelerate because your energy is no longer wasted on trivialities. The same people who were once distracted alongside you will begin to notice that you are moving in a different rhythm, one they cannot explain. You are no longer pulled by the tides of noise. You are directing your own current. This is not about rejecting the external world, but about refusing to let it rule you. It is about realizing that the greatest gift you can give yourself is focus, because focus is energy, and energy is creation. When you choose to break the habit of distraction, you are not simply resisting noise. You are stepping into the power of deliberate living. You are deciding that your life is too valuable to be wasted on meaningless impulses. You are remembering that your attention is sacred, and where you place it will determine who you become. Beneath the surface of everything you think, say, and do lies a vast, invisible force shaping the quality of your life. It is not the conscious thoughts you are aware of for only a fraction of the day, but the subconscious patterns that run automatically, like software you never questioned. This is the level at which true change must occur, because no matter how much you try to improve consciously, if the subconscious programs remain the same, your life will eventually default back to old patterns. Reprogramming the subconscious is the art of no longer living from the past and beginning to create from the future. Most people are unaware that the subconscious mind controls over 90% of their daily behavior. Think about that. Most of what you feel, how you respond, the choices you make, even the way you carry yourself is not fresh, deliberate, or conscious. It is memorized. It is a replay of old thoughts, old emotions, and old habits that the body has practiced so many times, doesn't even need your permission to repeat them. That is why change feels difficult. That is why so many set new goals, write new resolutions, or even take new actions, but sooner or later find themselves pulled back to the same reality. They are fighting against a subconscious that has already decided who they are. The subconscious is built through repetition. Every thought you think, every emotion you feel, every action you take leaves an impression on your nervous system. Think the same thought enough times, and it becomes a belief. Feel the same emotion enough times, and it becomes your mood. Repeat that mood long enough, and it becomes your personality. Without realizing it, you become a living reflection of your past, waking up each day with the same mind as yesterday, and therefore creating the same experiences. If nothing changes within, nothing changes without. Reprogramming the subconscious begins with awareness. You must first notice what you have been practicing unconsciously. Notice how quickly you assume the worst in certain situations. Notice how your body tenses at the thought of failure. Notice how you relive memories that produce anger or sadness as if they are happening all over again. These are not random reactions. They are rehearsed states of being. The mind has rehearsed the thought. The body has rehearsed the feeling, and together they form a program that runs automatically. To change it, you must interrupt it. The key lies in aligning thought and emotion with the future instead of recycling the past. When you visualize the future you desire, you are planting seeds in the subconscious. But visualization alone is not enough. You must also feel the emotions of that future as if it is already real. When your thoughts of possibility merge with the elevated emotions of gratitude, excitement, or inspiration, you create a powerful signal that the subconscious begins to accept. The body does not know the difference between an experience that is real and one that is vividly imagined. If you can repeatedly condition your mind and body to feel as if the future has already arrived, you begin to reprogram the subconscious to expect and create it. Think about how many people live trapped in the same loop. They wake up, recall their problems, feel the same emotions they felt yesterday, and unconsciously step into the same version of themselves. Their future is just a continuation of the past. But when you wake up and instead direct your mind toward possibility, when you choose thoughts and emotions that belong to the life you want rather than the life you are trying to escape, you break the loop. You are no longer living as a predictable copy of yesterday. You are rehearsing a new version of yourself. This practice requires consistency. The subconscious cannot be changed in a single day because it was not created in a single day. It was built through years of repetition, and it will only be rewritten through deliberate repetition of new thoughts and new feelings. Every time you choose to imagine the future instead of replaying the past, you weaken the old program. Every time you generate emotions of gratitude, strength, and clarity without waiting for the external world to give you a reason, you teach your subconscious that a new reality is possible. Reprogramming the subconscious is not just about thinking positively, it is about becoming aligned. If you think one thing but feel another, the subconscious will always believe the emotion, because emotions are the language of the body. You cannot simply affirm success while feeling like a failure and expect change. But if your thoughts of success are paired with the elevated emotions of confidence and gratitude, then your subconscious begins to accept that identity. When thought and emotion align, the subconscious receives new instructions, and the body begins to live in a new future rather than a recycled past. And as the subconscious begins to change, so does your reality. Opportunities that were once invisible become clear. People who match your new energy appear. Circumstances shift to align with the identity you are embodying. It feels as though the world outside is transforming but in truth, it is only responding to the changes within you. The subconscious no longer runs on the programs of fear, doubt, or limitation. It runs on the codes of possibility, belief, and creation. This is the power hidden within you. You are not condemned to repeat the story of your past. You are not bound by the automatic programs that have shaped your life until now. By becoming conscious of the unconscious, by aligning your thoughts and emotions with the future you want, by practicing it until it becomes your new baseline, you can reprogram the very foundation of your being. Everywhere you look, people are taught that success comes from grinding harder, pushing further, and taking more action. The world repeats the mantra of effort, hustle, and constant doing, as if the only way to create change is to move faster than everyone else. Yet, despite all this effort, so many feel exhausted, unfulfilled, and still trapped in the same reality. Why? Because action without energy is empty. Action without alignment is just movement. And movement without direction cannot bring transformation. The truth is that energy always comes before action, because who you are being in the moment you act determines the impact of everything you do. Think about the days when you feel drained, overwhelmed, or stuck in a negative state. Even the smallest task feels heavy. You might force yourself to push through, but the quality of your results reflects the energy you carried into them. Compare that to a moment when you feel inspired, focused, and alive. The same action, the same task, suddenly becomes effortless. Ideas flow, opportunities appear, and results multiply. It is not the action that changed. It is the energy behind it. This is why two people can take the same steps in life and end up with vastly different outcomes. It is not about what they did, but about the energy they carried into the doing. Energy is not something mystical or abstract. It is the measurable state of your mind and body. When you are aligned internally, when your thoughts, emotions, and intentions are coherent, you radiate a frequency that influences your outer reality. People feel it in your presence. Circumstances respond to it. Life organizes itself around it. But when your energy is fragmented, when your thoughts are one way, your emotions are another, and your actions contradict both, you create resistance. You may work hard, but you push against yourself. That inner conflict drains your power, and no amount of external action can compensate for that. The key is to shift focus from doing more to being more. Who you are being in every moment creates the energy that fuels your actions. If you are being fearful, your actions will carry fear. If you are being insecure, your actions will reflect insecurity. But if you are being intentional, confident, and aligned with a vision greater than your past, your actions will carry a power that others can feel, and results will come not only faster, but with less struggle. Energy is the foundation, action is the expression. Most people try to change their lives by focusing only on action. They change jobs, they start new routines, they chase new goals, but because they never change their energy, they recreate the same outcomes in a different form. They move from relationship to relationship, job to job, goal to goal, but carry the same old state of being into each one. They are running in circles, believing that more action will save them, when in reality, their energy has never shifted. They are still creating from the same old patterns, the same emotions, the same limited identity. Imagine waking up each day and first aligning your energy before you act. Instead of rushing into the noise, you take the time to center yourself, to choose thoughts that reflect the life you want, to feel the emotions of gratitude, inspiration, or confidence as if your vision is already real. In that moment, you raise your energy above the level of your past. And when you step into action from that elevated state, the quality of everything you do changes. Conversations unfold differently. Ideas come with clarity. People respond to you in ways they never did before. It seems as though the world itself is shifting, but the truth is you shifted first. When energy leads action, life becomes less about struggle and more about flow. This does not mean you stop working or that effort disappears, but it means the effort is amplified. It is like the difference between pushing against the wind or sailing with it. The same movement produces entirely different outcomes because the force behind it has changed. When you are aligned, when your energy is coherent, the world seems to collaborate with you rather than resist you. You no longer chase opportunities. They are drawn toward the state you are radiating. This is also why people are often shocked by your transformation. They see the visible actions, the choices you make, the work you do, but they cannot see the invisible energy fueling them. They wonder how you moved so quickly, how things seemed to turn in your favor, how results appeared with such speed. They do not realize that you stopped trying to change the world with action alone and instead changed your energy first. Once your state of being shifted, your actions carried a force they could not explain. Energy before action is also about responsibility. It means no longer blaming circumstances, people, or the past for how your life unfolds. It means realizing that you are the one setting the frequency of your life, and that the energy you cultivate within will always be reflected back to you in what you experience outside. If you don't like the results, it is not about doing more. It is about being different. The question is not, what should I do? But who am I being as I do it? And so the practice becomes clear. Before you act, align. Before you speak, center yourself. Before you pursue, embody the energy of already having. By training yourself to live from this elevated state, you shift from forcing outcomes to attracting them, from struggling against life to flowing with it. This is the difference between action rooted in scarcity and action rooted in abundance, between effort that drains and effort that creates. There comes a moment in life when you realize that no amount of words, no amount of arguments, and no amount of explanations will ever be enough to convince others of your vision. You can spend hours trying to justify your choices, defending your dreams, or persuading people who have already decided not to believe in you, and still walk away empty. Words may echo for a moment, but they rarely transform anyone's perspective. What truly shifts the world around you is not your explanations, it is your example. When you embody the life you desire, when your actions radiate clarity and conviction, when your results speak louder than your words ever could, you become undeniable. The tendency to explain ourselves comes from a deep-rooted need for validation. From a young age, we are conditioned to seek approval, to look outward for permission, to prove our worth in the eyes of others. When you dream bigger, when you decide to change, when you choose to live differently, that conditioning often compels you to explain why. You want others to understand. You want them to support you. You want them to see the future as clearly as you do. But often they cannot. They are not meant to. The vision you hold belongs to you alone, and the path you walk is one only you can take. If you waste your energy trying to make everyone else see what you see, you will delay your own becoming. To become the example means choosing to embody your truth without waiting for permission. It means stepping into action without explaining why. It means allowing your transformation to be the evidence, rather than trying to convince others with words. When people see consistency in your growth, when they witness the discipline of your choices, when they notice how your life gradually reflects the power of your focus, they begin to respect what you have created. Even those who once doubted you will have no choice but to acknowledge the reality of your results. There is a power in silence when it is paired with presence. Instead of debating your worth, you live it. Instead of explaining your dream, you walk in it. Instead of convincing others, you let them see the undeniable change in who you are becoming. This shift from explanation to example transforms not only how others perceive you, but how you perceive yourself. You no longer need external validation because your life itself becomes validation. Every step you take in alignment with your truth becomes evidence. Every result you create from your inner focus becomes a statement. And eventually, your very existence becomes the testimony you once tried to put into words. Becoming the example also requires resilience. When you stop explaining yourself, when you stop trying to satisfy the expectations of others, you will face resistance. People may question your silence. They may criticize your choices. They may even mock the path you are walking, because your growth reminds them of the changes they have not yet chosen for themselves. But in those moments, your power lies in persistence. Do not argue. Do not explain. Do not waste your energy on proving. Simply continue. Continue to focus inward. Continue to align your energy. Continue to reprogram your subconscious. Continue to live as if your vision is already real. Over time, the results will silence the noise. It is important to understand that people rarely believe words they cannot see reflected in reality. If you say you are changing, but your actions do not reflect it, your words lose meaning. If you say you are committed, but you live as you always have, no one will take you seriously. But if you quietly and consistently transform, if you embody the very energy you speak of, then others will feel it long before you speak it. This is why becoming the example is more powerful than becoming the explanation. The world does not need more talk. It needs proof. And proof comes not from defending yourself, but from living authentically. There is also a deeper reward in becoming the example. You no longer carry the burden of convincing. Convincing is heavy because it is rooted in fear. The fear that if others do not approve, you are somehow incomplete. But when you embody your truth, when your focus is on becoming rather than explaining, that burden lifts. You realize that your worth is not tied to their approval. You no longer live as a reaction to others, but as a creator of yourself. This freedom gives you even more energy to pour into your growth, and that growth becomes the fuel that shocks those who never believed in you. Imagine the power of walking into a room where people once doubted you, and instead of defending yourself, you let your presence speak. Your results, your growth, your confidence, they tell the story. No argument is needed because what you have become is louder than any words you could have spoken. People may whisper, people may question, but deep down they know they are witnessing something undeniable. You have become the evidence. The world remembers examples far more than explanations. History honors those who lived their truth, not those who defended it with endless words. Your life has the power to be such an example. By focusing on yourself, by directing your energy inward, by breaking free from distraction and reprogramming your subconscious, you create a transformation that cannot be ignored. And when the transformation becomes visible, the same voices that once demanded at every moment, you are faced with a choice to give your power away to the noise of the world or to reclaim it by turning inward. The path of focusing on yourself is not selfish. It is the most powerful act of creation you can make, because when you align your attention, when you break free from distraction, when you reprogram the subconscious and choose to embody energy before action, you stop living as a reflection of your past and begin living as the architect of your future. You do not need to prove yourself through explanations or defend your dreams to those who cannot see them. Your example will always be louder than your words. As you grow, as you transform, as you radiate the energy of the person you are becoming, the world will notice, and those who once doubted you will be shocked. Not because you argued with them, but because you rose beyond them. Focus on yourself. Protect your energy. Direct your attention inward. And watch as the life you create becomes the evidence of everything you always knew you could be.